This podcast has topics in relation to death, suicide and drug use. This may be confronting for some listeners.
As veterans and first responders, we also use some dark humour in this episode. We ask that you keep in mind that dark humour is a timeless and research-supported method.
I just wanted to use that for dark humour.
I was like...
I know, you were killing it. You were killing it. Hang on. All right, oi, it's on. Here's the music. Jesus, this is a terrible podcast.
The Imposter Podcast is live in the Simpson Desert. We are on the road.
We are, and it's been a struggle with Clay Marks, who's our new guest.
This afternoon's been waiting for flies to clear.
We're being stared at by some bloke from Traverse Magazine like he's a big deal. No one cares. They don't even make magazine anymore.
Wow.
He's not coming on anymore.
Now that the gear's out, everybody is coming around.
We've got Rod Henderson in the background. He's an author.
Maybe on later.
He's out.
You're
not out because they heard that on the mic. Welcome back to the Shambles podcast, where we run a rock show in the middle of the desert.
Back to the beginning. But we are here in the desert with Clay Marks,
Do you like that, Clay? That's the first time people have cheered for you.
That is.
Founder and tour leader of Frontline Safaris. Welcome, Clay.
Thank you. And thank you for coming and supporting us.
It's not about us, mate. Move along. So basically, we wanted to get you on because obviously we've got a captive audience of people we can pick from. So, and everyone else said no. But we Marks and I used to work together.
We
AKA Skid Marks, AKA Dirt Dart. There was a few other things.
Whiskey Tango.
Oh, here we go. Your kids are coming.
No, it's okay. They're just,
we've had kids on before. It's all good.
That's all right.
For the listeners who know Burso had a military background, you were both loadmasters in the Black Hawk helicopters. Air crewmen, sorry.
Yeah. Air crew,
Technically correct.
Loadmaster, the old guys. So we're air crewmen.
Yep. From there, we were both pretty poor at that. You went from there to aviation in Seville Street.
I did.
Where were you working there?
I left after, 6.5 years, I think it was, as a air crewie. Prior to that, I was a parachute rigger for roughly the same time. And I resigned and went to work for Care Flight on the Rapid Response Trauma Team helicopter in Sydney. That was awesome.
How long were you doing that for?
3.5 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was a good time.
Was that a really similar role, or did you have to do some different sort of specialist training for that?
Look, it was in essence like the fundamentals of what we did in the Army as air crewmen, like clearance of the aircraft, like Burso's spoken about before, and winching and night vision flying as a part of the crew, and a non-flying pilot. But there's a lot that we actually had to do in relation to training for the front left seat. So basically just as an observer, we didn't fly the aircraft, but we sat there and we supported by, keeping constant lookout. And then obviously as well, we also supported with the radios and things like that. So yes, we did a lot of the backseat stuff, but we also did, a lot of the front seat stuff as well, besides the flying part of it, the cool part.
Yeah. And so Care Flight is like a civilian contract for the sort of search and rescue in the States? Is that what it would be? Or?
New South Wales, I was on the Rapid Response Trauma Team helicopter based in Sydney at Westmead Hospital. And basically, in real layman's terms, the aircraft set up, it was a small aircraft, and it was set up to launch really quickly with a trauma doctor and paramedic and get to scenes really quickly and support scenes with direct medical intervention. We often didn't repatriate the patients that we were helping via the aircraft. It was often just we were basically there to drop off the paramedic and doctor as quick as we could and support them.
How'd you feel going from like Black Hawks and stuff to what were you in 412s?
I was actually in a little helicopter called a AW109, Augusta 109.
Okay. So smaller than a 412.
Yeah, way smaller. Yeah.
412 is like a Huey for anyone that doesn't really know choppers, but they have seen Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So it was that and a BK 117, which is a little bit larger. In that particular aircraft, we didn't have a winch on just because of the type of work we were doing.
Yep.
So we didn't do any winching or anything like that, but it was all just like it was quite strange. It was all there's a little bit of remote stuff, but it was predominantly in the metropolitan Sydney area. So we landed like in Circular Quay, in the M7 heaps of times. I don't know, I can't even count. Schools, cul-de-sacs and streets, like, people were just blown away. Pardon the pun.
Yeah,
quite
literally,
you used to be landing in the street, in a cul-de-sac.
How'd you feel going from from Army Black Hawks to Civvy Street? Like, because obviously we did training most of the time. It wasn't really real time. I mean, it was real time. It was real speed. And we were working with some SF boys and stuff like that. Like, we did some really sick jobs, but they were training. How does it feel going from that to a real job? Did you feel like it was, obviously stuff's actually life and death, as opposed to with training, it's very safe. We do that. I mean, obviously accidents happen, but you're obviously, when they call you, you're actually going to something. How was the transfer from Army, where you do mainly training, to where this one is majority actual job and minimal training?
Scary, to be honest. Look, so in that time with the Rapid Response Trauma Team, we were very, very busy, without going into politics and all the background, which I actually don't know much of, but or paid particular attention to. New South Wales Ambulance and those rescue agencies and those helicopter agencies that were bidding for the contracts had just gone through the tender process for the state government, and so we were very busy leading up to what was basically being that the current provider was about to move out. So to answer your question, my training was quite full on, because I was going into a period where it was just full bottle, like full on.
So they trained you Civvy Street before you went out. It wasn't just a straight transfer over, and they're like, you've got the skills, you can just transfer it?
I had over a week's worth of training on the
Okay.
job.
Oh, do you like MICA stuff? Like I know in Victoria they do stuff with paramedics and stuff.
Well, no. To answer your question, I actually put my hand up because I was interested in it to do the Care Flight Pre-Hospital Trauma course. So that's 2 weeks of training, and it's just all doctors and very, very senior paramedics and flight nurses. So I had no medical experience except advanced first aid like yourself, and both of you from the police force and Army. And I was really thrown in the deep end because they were talking about medical procedures and just human anatomy that I'd never heard of. And I was just nodding the whole time through the whole lesson, going, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about."
Did they teach you like, how much did they teach you with the pre-hospital stuff? Is it like just telling you what the drugs are, where they are, or is it doing needles and catheters and that sort of stuff? Or
yes, a bit of both.
Yeah.
It was very hands-on. I was quite interested in that sort of side of things in that field.
Being hands-on.
Yeah,
I've heard that about you.
Yeah, so it was quite interesting. Like we did a lot of training.
Sorry, mate. What do you got there, Chris? Hot chips.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hot chips in a cup in the middle of the Simpson Desert.
We have to get a photo of this.
Very nicely done on the barbecue. Thanks, man.
These guys are the A-team. Seriously.
Sorry, mate. Yeah. So
That's just proof that we are live in the Simpson Desert, by the way. So
yeah, we're getting hot chips in the baskets.
Yeah, and you'll get a heckler soon. He's trying to get us to read something during the middle of a podcast. It really doesn't work for a YouTube video.
Yeah, cool.
We're not on YouTube.
it's interesting to say. Interesting you say thrown in the deep end. It's something that we've heard quite common with the advanced medical training is, a lot of us have joined fields where that wasn't, we didn't choose to be a paramedic per se, and we always credit, ambulance and paramedics for the work they do, but it can be really confronting responding to those sort of medical incidents when that wasn't the stream you initially went into. Yeah,
it can be. Some people... One thing I like to talk about is in reflection for that particular, question and topic is what I observe with the highway police in New South Wales. So we all hate highway cops because we get done by them. I actually like them. Sorry, but the general population detest them, I guess you could say. Sorry, all highway cops that are listening.
Oh, it's fine. Get into them.
So, but from my experience, during that time, I saw a different side, and that was that, from what I thought and perceived of what the highway police officers in particular did as a job, I saw them first on scene for drowning with kids. I literally saw as we were landing once in a suburb in Western Sydney, 2 highway cops and 2 different cars had arrived on the scene for a suicide, and a guy had set himself alight in the garden shed, and we were landing in the park opposite the house, and we literally saw the cops, the highway police officers, pulling this guy out, smouldering on fire, because they were first on scene, because they're out patrolling,
Credit where credit's due, they can drive fast.
They
will get to something they want to get to very quickly.
The most stressful time of my job was actually getting in a police car, to be honest, getting driven to the scene when we couldn't land on scene. Yeah,
the scene, as in like when they got you to do it after you got your ESTA interview?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Yeah.
and you were driven in the back of the van, or?
Well, no, that's another story.
There's an unfortunate paradox in some jobs, and sort of highway patrol is one of them, where the same person that can give you a ticket on one day is the same person that's rushing to your aid the very next day.
Yes, correct. And I use the reference to child drowning because I went to a lot of those. And a lot of times there were highway police. I don't know why. Well, I do know why now that they're always out patrolling and doing their highway thing. But it's quite eye-opening to see that from the role that I was doing and as a first responder, seeing what the police have to deal with, both the GDs and the highway guys and girls. So I never talk shit about highway again after that because I just never know when I'm going to roll my Harley up or something on the road, and then the next minute I'm going to have a highway guy or girl tourniqueting my leg, so
or giving you a ticket.
Or giving me a ticket when I'll say something completely different. But anyway, yeah, holistically.
Better to get the ticket than the tourniquet.
Correct, yeah. So, but to answer your question, I saw lots of trauma immediately. It was quite confronting, and I still can't really deal with it. And that's probably why I only lasted 3.5 years there. I've got 4 children, all boys, and I just couldn't handle dealing with the trauma, especially the children. So, yeah.
So I remember having conversations with you about it when it happened, like your first one. You were like, I can't do any more drowning kids.
No.
Because it sounds like you were just getting one after another with that.
Yes.
And before you had kids, you were sort of, yeah, I'm okay with it. But the kids thing was, because you never really spoke to me about any other jobs, and then you're like, I can't go to another drowning.
No, that's exactly right. And there was lots of other stuff that I don't really want to reflect on here now, but in particular with children, I think what it's you probably see me here now with my 2 boys that have taken out the desert for the first time ever because we've got such a small crew here. But I turned into a bit of a Karen, I guess you could call it, with managing them, because all I have in the back of my mind is all the.
I think the polite way is a helicopter parent.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right.
Literally.
Sorry to all the Karens that listen to us.
And you've seen all the worst situations and outcomes.
Yes, yeah. So, and my wife often picks up on it. She's like, hey,
let them stick that knife in the toaster.
All the parents are staring at you right now because you're like going full spastic about them running around, with the rest of the kids. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I have to tone it down a bit. So it's not a woe is me thing, but I guess I'm more heightened, I guess, to that sort of stuff, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
After being in, Australia's biggest organisation, our Australian Defence Force, was it quite different than being in like a private organisation, the culture and the way those things are processed? It was, and it initially it was tough, but what I actually found was that it was the family I probably needed. And they had when they still do, Careflight in particular have a really great culture there. I've still got friends there that fly, pilots and aircrew, and they're really mission focused and that's what I was really, and Burso can attest to this because I worked with him, but we were really feeding off that drive to have some sort of substance with work and what we did and belief. And I turned into a full-on believer. Like I was drinking the Kool-Aid every day, and I was living and breathing. Like, if I was doing 4 on 4 off and I got called in, I was like, straight away, I would drop everything, family gatherings and everything. Yeah, I got to go into work. Sorry, guys.
This is the thing that a lot of the corporate world don't understand. Is like when you get a veteran after they've left the army, they're looking for a new family, and then when you join it, it's like it doesn't matter what business it is. Like for you, it's Care Flight, and you're like, I'm wearing a Care Flight shirt in my own time. I wear a Care Flight hat. I wear this and that. Every conversation, it goes from I used to be in the army to I work for Care Flight. It's whether that's healthy or not, I don't know. But
it's
you
actually
do
remarkably that's remarkably truthful, like and accurate.
Are you wearing a Care Flight t-shirt at the moment?
Well, I'm sort of as you were talking, I was giggling because I had a double order. Actually, when I worked there, I asked for two.
Yep.
The double of what I would normally be issued because I wore them everywhere. I was
Yep.
proud of what I did, and I loved the uniform. And
in my work that I've got at the moment, a lot of the corporate people have said the same thing. They turn up and they get a lot of turnover from civvies who rock up and they go, what do you do? And it's like, oh, my job's an accountant. Whereas an army person will turn up and they're like, oh, I work for KPMG or whoever it is. Like they identify with their brand and they're like, this is my new family. And a lot of the time they say they're really good for culture. Other times they drink bundy and headbutt people. So it's not all wins.
Well, it's so after Care Flight, I worked in the corporate world and as you know, and quite high up in executive level. And it's funny because I actually wore the corporate branded shirt for the last company I worked for that may be redundant. Thank you. Just before Christmas too. I'm not angry at all.
No, I know we never talk about it at all.
We call people out on this show too if you feel like it.
So
they've got enough money to shut us down.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and they got a major defence contract. Anyway, I digress. So like the rest of the team that predominantly, completely civil backgrounds, workforce, including the executives that I worked with and I was subordinate to, would be like, they'd just openly joke to me like, oh, why are you wearing a X, company branded shirt? That's, no one wears them. I'm like, well, this is who I work for. This is who I am during work time, obviously. But, I want to wear the brand and I want to, sort of be proud of who I work for and what I do in a sense, I guess. I think it's a sense of belonging, I guess, for long and short of it. I don't know. I'm trying to articulate.
Well, a lot of veterans, their identity is linked to army.
Yeah.
And when they leave, their identity gets a little bit lost, and they're looking for it, and then they attach it to the new place they work to. Yeah. Is what I see a lot of the time. So they're like, whereas before it's like, oh, I used to be army, and then with cops, it's like, oh, I'm in the job or I'm a cop or whatever, and then when you get out, it's I'm a checkout chick at Woolworths, but it's you bring up which company you're like, I work for Woolies or whatever.
Yeah,
we identify very strongly with whatever place pays our bill. Basically, is where you're mercenary. What do you need?
I can see that. Yeah, I thinking about it and reflecting as you talk, that was me.
And when you get let go too, it's funny where a lot of people just be like, oh, it's just a job, whatever. Whereas when we get let go, it's like you're getting dumped, and you get
my God,
you get real worked up, and you're like, why? What did I do?
I had the executive director and the MD call me and they're like, it's nothing personal. And I was like, I won't say, I was fuming.
You're like, it's all right, man. I just wrote you down on a list that I've got here.
You are on that special list.
Yeah. And then, so you've gone from there and now you're training to be a pilot.
Yes.
How's that going for you?
Well, I got my fixed wing license. And I guess it's not really where I wanted to be, as you know, with you and I and the guys that we work with lived and breathed helicopters. We just loved them.
Yep.
We're just one of those weird fetishes that some blokes have, but and chicks, for that matter. But and recently made redundant just before Christmas. I'm 40.
40 and some or just 40?
No, 40. Yeah.
Okay.
Just over the hill.
Yeah, right.
Just 40 in 6 months, Don't bother me. And I was like, you know what, stuff it. I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm quite happy financially and with life. And I said, no, I'm going to do it now. My time's now. I'll take 6 months off and do it.
Oh, mate, 40. Best time to have a midlife crisis.
Exactly.
I mean, a bought a Harley.
Yeah. Helicopter better than a Ferrari or a Harley? Or?
No,
helicopters are, yeah. But Berso's laughing because only 2 years ago I used to tease him about being, liking Harleys and riding Harleys. And I was like, now I own one and I want to ride with him.
Yeah, and now he wants to start the mild hogs.
Wild hogs, yeah.
He doesn't even want to be wild. He just wants to be the mild hogs.
Jackets and all.
Yeah, definitely going to get patched.
So having been in road aircraft for a long time, is it a massive jump to be the pilot, or you're following a progression and lessons that really make it clear?
Oh, I could dig a hole here.
No, pilots are chumps.
Oh, I have gobbed off to so many pilots. There's a couple here actually on my ride that I flew with on firebombing in the civil ward, and they're when they listen to this, they're gonna have a bit of a chuckle. But
so run your mouth in the meantime.
Well, no,
This won't come out for a while.
It's tricky in certain aspects. With relation to just the flying, like the idiosyncrasies and the skill that you need there. We all know that hovering's quite difficult for some, and I took a while, and then one of the girls on my course, a younger chick that's on my course, was like an hour, boom. Just
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just got it.
That
Got the
hurts.
hover.
so it does, being an aircrewman.
Yeah, that hurts.
And on over 3,000 hours on helicopters, and I was like, oh, this is.
And telling people how to hover for that whole time.
And that's what my instructors loved to rub in.
So is it the sort of thing where you can have the lessons presented, but you got to have the knack? You kind of got to feel it click until it makes sense?
Well, that's a tough one. Yeah, look, I think everyone's different, but in essence, yes. There's a few things, but I think a lot of it's in your head, like with most things. So you can. I won't talk out of shot, but I've seen one or two guys that were struggling, and and we'll talk about it as students, and then the instructors will pull them aside, and they're great instructors, and they'll just be like, "Oi, you can do this. You've seen it. It's in your head." And then next minute they're out there and they're doing it. So yeah, I can't pick up. It's definitely mental.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that were interested in becoming a pilot? Like, what's the? I mean, there's probably different paths to get there, but what? Like, would you do it straight out of school, and like, how expensive would it be that way?
I would now, yeah. The school I'm with actually offers vet fee help for people that want to become pilots. For those that don't know what vet fee help is, just
I had to become a carpenter. Can you become a pilot through a vet system?
yes, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
As in like VET or veterans?
No, VET.
Oh, okay.
Like
So,
the TAFE,
yeah,
TAFE program. Yeah.
vocational educational training.
Don't ask me what the limit is. It's over $100,000, but yeah, it's quite cool that they can do that. And we've got a couple of students that normally wouldn't be able to. It would take a long time due to their specific circumstances to be able to afford or save up for it. And yeah, it's great to see because they're actually awesome pilots. Much better than me, I'll admit it. And now they've been given that opportunity by the government, and now they're pilots. But yeah, look, to answer your question and stop waffling on, I think if you, and I've spoken to you for many years, Burso, about this, if you've got a dream or you've got a drive to do something, you should do it. Like, you only live once. I think you've said it in previous podcasts, but it's just, I think the only limiting factor with anything that you dream or aspire to do is, I know it's sort of a lame catch cry, but the limiting factor is you. So if you want to do it, to go do it.
Well, yeah, a lot of people do put limits on themselves, as opposed to, and they say a lot of things where they'll be talking about, like, oh, I can't do it because of this, or they won't let me do this, or whatever. It's like, I will have a crack and see it. Like, you'll find out. They'll tell you if you can't do it. So how do you go through vet fee? Like, is it on the government website, or where's that?
I don't look. The specifics I know is that you apply through it through the flight schools.
Okay, so if you go and speak to a flight school, they'll be able to point you in the direction of vet
yes,
fee.
yeah. I believe there's only 2 or 3. I'll tell you, I'm with AeroPower.
Yep.
They go to school in Sydney, obviously where I am, and they go to school at Redcliffe, and they do vet fee. I know there's one in South Australia. And there might be one in Victoria, I'm not sure. But yeah, look, the flight schools, even the fixed wing flight schools, they do everything for you, basically.
Cool. So just speak to your local flight school, and they'll be able to talk you through it.
That's right.
And would it be, as opposed to the military, where the barrier to entry for any pilots is really high educationally, through the vet system? And if anybody applies themselves and follows the system, like, it's attainable if that's what they want to do?
Oh yeah, it's very easy from the students I've spoken to that are there on it, and I know because I've been on it as well through various other studies in uni. You just have to provide a diploma or higher, or your Year 12 certificate. So I'm on course with students that have done Year 10 and 11, but they've got a diploma in, I don't know, WHS or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they provide a diploma, a certificate, and they're in.
Excellent.
Yeah,
so they don't have to have done amazingly in math and physics, like to become a military pilot, they can go through that vet system. And
No. Well, you do need it, but I guess it's a bit different. I always look at it like there's a guy there now. Don't want to talk out of school, but yeah, there's a student I've worked with previously that he admits he was like, I absolutely sucked at maths, and he goes, I can't believe I'm actually gelling and doing all this maths because I hated it, but now there's an end goal. Like I actually do this.
Oh man, how many times did we do maths in high school and just go why?
Yeah,
I'm not sure any teacher ever highlighted that mathematics would apply to flying either.
No.
No, they're just like, this is what you need to learn, and not telling you why. They're like, because it's on the syllabus. You're like, well, that's me checked out. Thanks anyway.
But I think the good thing, especially with today's I would say kids. God, I can't believe I'm saying that. That means I am over 40.
You are over there.
But like today's students are just more savvy. I found even with uni, like they
can't play sport though.
No, they can't. They're piss weak. So they're just really savvy with gaining information, the information they need for whatever subject or topic it is, and retaining it, and also putting it into practice. Like they're just sponges. I was never like that. Well, maybe it was just me, and they've always been like that. But,
well, maybe if someone told you that maths was going to lead to being a pilot when you were in year 10, you might have listened.
Oh, they did. I didn't listen. So
just actively being annoying with the teachers then.
Yeah, well, you know me.
Very much so. So how much longer do you have with your pilot stuff? Like, how's that? How long's that from start to finish?
I'm nearly finished. I gave myself 6 months, so I'm pretty well done with the exams.
So it's self-based?
Yeah, look, you do.
Provided you get the flights, obviously.
Yeah, you can smash it out. The vet fee stuff is, you got 2 weeks per subject. There's 7 subjects, and the commercial pilot's license, both fixed wing and rotary. And
sorry, mate, what's the difference between commercial and pilots? Like the PPL versus CPL?
Oh, look, so I got a PPL as well. So you
get that first year. It's like that's shorter.
Well, fixed wing, yeah, we did, but rotary wing, I think you can, but for what we're doing, it's straight to CPL. I think you can apply for it, but so CPL, you do seven main subjects. They're quite intense over a 2-week period for each subject, and then, but for private pilot, it's just you do one exam for all 7 subjects within that exam.
And why would you go private versus a CPL?
Oh, well, if you want to do it for a career, you'd go to commercial pilot.
But there's also, isn't there other limitations like nighttime flying and that sort of stuff?
Oh, you can fly IFR and you fly instrument flight rules and you fly at night on your private.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
No issues at all. You fly.
I thought it was like recreational flight rules or something that were happening.
No, well, you can. There's another avenue as well. There's sports pilot.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's the smaller, very small planes with the two seats only.
Yeah, that might be the one I was looking at.
Yeah, recreational pilot. Sorry, that's what they're called. Yeah.
So you're recreational, private, and then commercial.
Correct. Yes.
Cool. And commercial is anything up to what, A380, or is that you got to get jumbo commercial pilot license or something?
Oh, there's lots of hoops to jump through and like endorsements and things like that. Yeah. So yeah.
So is it you basically get like a sponsorship or something through a big company or something, or?
Yeah, you do your time. Like you see guys and girls join for. I'll revert back to fixed wing, and they'll fly like small pistons out at where we are now, or William Creek or Unadada or wherever, and fly people in this little Cessna around Lake Eyre, and then they'll
hang out with a bunch of backpackers like old mate at Murray pub.
That's right. Yeah, serve beer in your spare time, but for the pub, and then after a while they'll get the opportunity in the hours, and they'll be able to work for a company that'll provide them a gas turbine endorsement, fly turboprops, and then you might then get more hours and have the opportunity to fly like twin turbines or something, and it
goes on and on.
Yeah.
I've heard a few friends sort of talk about, I'll have to go out bush or to the islands to work for a while, and for what we've seen this week, I'm like, come out to the country, the centre of Australia, and fly for a while. Like it looks incredible.
My God, if I was single and without kids, I'd be all over this place. It is awesome. It's awesome flying, and it's just they're awesome people. Well, you've seen firsthand, like people at the Murray Hotel, like Maria and Phil that own it, and they own Arid Air, so they own the local charter and airline company that flies all the scenic tours and that. Like, they're just amazing people. So imagine working for them.
Ideally, we'll have them on in a couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, what mentors for either if you want to be a pilot or running a business, like just the example they're setting there is incredible.
They are amazing people, yeah. Just salt of the earth Aussies.
Yeah.
And they're selling their pub if anyone's interested.
Do you want to go halves?
Yeah. Well, man, no. I think what have we got? $50 between each other.
We'll sell our Harleys and
True.
Buy a caravan and come out of here.
Well, that'll just pay for the fuel for me to get home from out here.
So we are sitting under the stars, and that is thanks to you, Clay, and we've got all of your crew sitting out in front of us enjoying dinner. So we're here on the Frontline Safari, which is your vision, and you want to tell us a bit about how all that came together and why we're sitting in the Simpson Desert right now.
You can eat your chips too, by the way, if you want them. They'll go cold in a minute.
I'm preferring the beer, to be honest.
Oh,
It's been a big day. No, look, I guess long and short, it was I just dreamed it up almost overnight. I crossed once solo, which is always a dream. I always loved motorbikes, especially dirt
cross
bikes.
the Simpson on a motorbike?
Correct, yeah.
Bike? Yep.
Yeah. So I did Birdsall to Mount Dare and took me a couple of stops and, a few falls, but I did it. No record attempt by all means, but and I enjoy riding sand, so it was sort of like a duck to water for me. But and then I tried a second time, and it got rained out. A massive rain front came through, and it was all over TV. And that at the time, I think it was 2014, and that was great fun. And then I was like, I always wanted to do it again. And then I had, I was at Careful at the time, and we were like all of us, a couple of our mates were struggling with things after their service, and a particular charity stepped up and helped out, and I saw a number of the services help them. Like we were actually reaching out to help our mates.
You can say Soldier On if you want, man.
Yeah, it was Soldier On. Yeah, I'll say it. At the time was Matt Jones, who's a brilliant CEO at the time, ex-army, which is what they should be, I think. And they were just great, and they even helped me. I was like, you know what, I might try some of the education services that they were providing at the time. They were just brilliant. So, and then one of my friends that they were actually helping at the time, Fiji, God rest his soul, he took his own life, sadly, in someone else's. But at that point, it was quite tragic. He was actually at his happiest, believe it or not, prior to the circumstances that led to the tragedy. But that was because of Soldier On. Like he was getting out of quite a serious rut with I won't say who it was, but with a particular OMCG motorcycle gang, and he needed help. And particularly, I think it goes back to that belonging and getting support, and that why he went that route in the first place to join the gangs.
There's plenty of blokes that go from army to police, fire, or bikies.
Yeah. So he was sadly the latter.
Anything with a rank structure, they seem to go towards again. Yeah,
and he needed help, and it was funny because one of my closest friends was actually in Raptor, and he was friends with him as well, and which is ironic in a certain sense. But so we were helping him, and at the time, certain organisations and charitable organisations for veterans really were piss weak and didn't help. When I did the phone around and I was trying to find, because I never really needed them myself, so I didn't know who to call.
Oh, and there's like 3,500 of them, so.
Yeah, well now.
No, legitimately, that's how many.
I know.
There's over that.
I learned that this weekend from Bursa, and I'm just blown away. But
someone should make a database for all that, Bursa.
You need the internet 4 times over by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, like I was blown away, and I just wanted to do something. Like I was like, these guys, like I heard of them, but I didn't really care or need charitable support or help from veterans charities in particular. But I was really passionate. I just became really passionate because of Fiji. Tavita Danabao is his name, and God rest his soul. Like I just wanted to help people like him, and help the people that help him. And I was like, well, how can I do that? And it was just like weeks of, working and in the back of my mind going, well, do I have like a sausage sizzle or?
Yeah, go work at Bunnings on a weekend.
What can we do?
I mean, you can do that.
And then it just came back to my passion, which was riding. And I was like, you know what? And Chris, the other Chris who's here, the guy I flew with.
One of four.
One of four, yeah. We're all yelling Chris and everyone turns around. I flew with the McDermotts on the Firebombers. He was like, I told him my plan. I was like, I want to do this charitable or, fundraising, I call it, not charitable, fundraising event crossing the Simpson, get just rat bag guys and girls like me that love dirt bikes and off-road vehicles that want to cross the Simpson that may not have or have and love doing it, to pay for us to support them to come across, and then all the profits we cover the costs, but all the profits go to our chosen charity, and then we also make them fundraise. Because my whole business plan was to make it as cheap as possible to cover just the basic bare bones costs, and then a little bit of profit.
Is that why we've been eating nothing but ramen noodles?
No, it's just you. Everyone else has been reading. Like you see them eating steaks now.
Yeah, that's because
legitimately they're eating steaks in the desert.
That's right. Yeah. Veteran business butcher that supplied them, which we'll talk about later. But look, that in a nutshell, that's what it was. And my mate Chris over there was just like, "You're like an idiot. You've got your head screwed on backwards. You need to seek help to do that. To want to take 50 odd people, you've never done it. Like, I've managed people. I can do it. Like, we can do it." He's like, "I'm not involved." You go jump the lake, but he's here now.
He's like, "If you make it work, I'll turn up." But I don't believe you.
No, he's been one of my best supporters. Like, and a lot of my mates have been. I'm sure they haven't, but it's been a tough learning experience managing civvies and people.
But at which point did you decide, like when you're like, "I want to do something to help," and then saying, "I want to go across the desert"? But at which point did you then say, "You know what, this is actually a thing I could do"? Because that's pretty extravagant to decide that you're going to take a bunch of random people across the desert when you've never done it before. Like Chris said, he's like, "You're an idiot. Why are you thinking you can do that?"
Well, I guess it goes back to our sort of a piss take cash crop.
Just do it.
Mindset. Like, what we're talking about. I feel like one of those dick XSF guys that have got the podcast. Talk about mindset. Sorry, guys, don't murder me if you're listening. But
mate, they don't have a podcast in the desert.
No, that's right. But it's a bit like that. I guess the cool thing with my career and both your careers, and you can attest to this as well. When you hang around with people with the same sort of mindset, like those real go-getters, I call them, and you become those people. Like I spent 3.5 years with doctors, really senior paramedics and pilots, all well educated, really driven, mission focused, career focused, and it just rubs off on you. So I just became that person. So if I wanted to do something, I'd find a way to do it. And it came from university, trying to do my masters and doing it, and then, everything else. And I was like, you know what, I can do this. Like I sat down and put it on the drawing board, put it on a whiteboard, and I was like, this is easy. But as you can see, it's not quite that easy.
When you say you put it on a whiteboard, it's in like this Frontline Safari, and then you went, so you put the end goal on and then worked backwards from there, did you?
That's exactly what I did. Yeah.
Oh. See, because that's not crazy. And that is the thing that other people have shown me along the way. Like they do the big butcher's paper and they get all the textures out and they draw all that sort of stuff and they put outlandish stuff at the end of it. And then when you come back, you find the little steps that you need to do along the way. So you'll be like, "Oh, I want to be a pilot. How do I do that? I need to get an education, or I need to do whatever else it is." And you're like, "I'm going to go to TAFE and get this done," and et cetera, so you can get along there. But it's when you just go, "I want to be the president of the United States," and you're like, that's a massive step. But that's the working backwards works. And then also we've found along the way that other people do stuff where they've continuously just moved forwards and better themselves every time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, "I'm already 7 steps into this. Now, joining the NBA is not that big a deal because I've been college, I've been high school, I've done this sort of stuff." And I think the other one we speak about is the people you surround yourself with is what you do it. And like you surrounding yourself with doctors, and then previously we had pilots there and all these, and these are normal people. They're just applying themselves. And I think that's a massive difference.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the most articulate way of putting it, unlike what I just did and waffled on. But yeah.
Yeah, uses gooder and stuff.
Yeah, gooder. No, I don't do that. But you're 100% correct. And mind you, I don't want to detract from the brilliant people that I work with in aviation corps, in the Army. That helped immensely as well. And they still do. They mentor me, a lot of the pilots and that.
The point with that is that those guys work that out at like 18, 19.
Yes. Yeah.
We're 40 and now you're like, "Oh, I might be a pilot now. I might be able to do it." It takes a lot longer for certain people to start thinking they can actually do stuff. Yes. That's sort of what we try and get behind with the hey mate. That's what we try and get behind with the whole imposter syndrome, is that everybody thinks that they can't do something until they get close enough that they start believing in it.
Yes.
Some people believe a lot earlier. Like when we spoke to Ports, he's like, "I don't know why Clay thinks he can do stuff." It's like he has no right thinking that he should be able to organise things.
I don't know why.
And he's like, but the bloke's just not scared of failing. And even though you may fail along the way, you continually just keep trying. And then you'll find every time you fail something, you learn something else, and then you're now closer to success. So I think that's a bit of a takeaway.
If you cannot fail, I can whip out a notepad and show you how many things I've failed in, including this. You
should have failed loaded course.
Well, thankfully I had you there to drag me along.
I think I was just taking the heat while you just snuck past.
True, and I was a little prick and would hide behind you.
Yeah.
And
can't have been too bad. Our sergeant's here, so.
Well, true, yeah, we've carried him all through this this event. So how the tables
how the turns have tabled.
Yeah.
The thing that's funny about that is he's our sergeant, and yet he's too scared to come on this podcast and talk to us.
He's too scared to even take.
He's a really scared individual. Rod Henderson. He's author and author. Literally wrote a book saying, "Stop screaming, I'm scared too." Not a joke. He's actually a really scared individual.
He is. Yeah.
Can't wait till he listens to this.
Yeah, I can't either.
You might say, I'm not sure the context you meant then, but you've failed. But what I've heard time and time again in the last few days is that you're just asking people for feedback to optimise things. So,
correct.
There's a whole fail forward thing, which is a bit of a cliche, but however it started out, you've obviously just persisted. And this has just been an incredible trip. We're unsupported in the middle of the desert. We've got lighting, we've got great food. It's just incredible to see. In how many years? Only a few years. What it's grown to?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah. So it
How many people have you had each year?
This is the smallest ever.
Yeah.
So 35 last year, which is the smallest. And over prior
that was the smallest.
Yeah. So
before this one.
So that's actually 35 attendees. So
yep.
add on that 15 volunteers like yourself.
Yeah.
That actually do the cooking, help support the 35 attendees. So it was probably 55 people total.
Yeah.
But most years it's 40 attendees is what we cap it to. So it's always 40 riders.
Yep.
Plus probably 5 sweep riders, so it's 45. And then you've got, 10 cars with 15 other people. But yeah, and trucks as well, off-road trucks. Mm-hmm. So yeah, look, I think maybe 75 people was the biggest we had coming across the desert.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's I can't take credit for all of it. It's where my success lies is the people that I choose to surround myself with to help me and help us do this. So a lot of my key failings have been probably taking advice and maybe surrounding myself or engaging with people that I probably shouldn't have. But yeah, that's another story.
Earlier on.
Much earlier on.
Yeah.
But that's.
But I think you'll find too that when you start doing stuff, for other people or you're trying to better yourself or whatever, a lot of people who are also in that mindset that you spoke about before will come to your aid, and they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's actually trying to better himself. If he's put his hand up to try and do better, I'm all about it. I'll get behind it."
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you see the best of the mankind as well. When you just named him before, Matt Portbury, Ports, when that guy's a wonderful guy. I absolutely love him. We were on course with him. No, we weren't. We were one behind him, but yeah, we served together for many years, and he's off being a paramedic now, and he was in the EMS helicopters and stuff. So we all had the same sort of trajectory and career history, and we stuck together. But he jumped at it. He's got the same mindset. He jumped. He said, "I want to help you." That sounds awesome. So it was it wasn't always me. It was Ports was there helping me, and I was smart, and I'll say this, adamantly, I was smart enough to take advice. I think where we come from is that we're trained to take advice and heed advice. I know a lot of people don't, and they just think, especially men, not necessarily in the ex-military or military, but men in general don't like taking advice. It's just the ego thing. But he for instance, and I trusted him, he pulled me up on a lot of my ideas and said, "Mate, you're a dickhead. That's not going to work. You're going to kill people, or whatever." And he was right. He was dead right. So it's always good to have that.
I thought you were going to say he's dead now.
No,
wow.
We drowned him. No, he's not. And he's come and supported so many times, and he does so much work in the background. Yeah, but I think on what we've just spoken about, if you're going to do something crazy like this, if you or anything in that matter, take advice. Ask people that are in the know. I did that, and here we are. I mean, we're not 100% successful, but we have a good time and we do it right.
But with that, like you had other people that are close friends of yours who would have tried to shut that down at the start.
Tons,
I think it's interesting because a lot of time family and friends that are close to you don't want you to get ahead because it makes them feel insecure a lot of the time, and that won't be what they say. But there's jealousy. There's why are you trying to lift yourself up? You think you're better than us. There's a whole bunch of stuff there.
Yeah.
So if you do speak to your friends and they give you advice and it sounds like it's not coming from a great place, ask a bunch of other people.
Correct.
Or ask other people that have done it before or similar to what you're trying to do, and they'll give you some advice. But just be critical about it. Just go, where are they coming from? If they're being so negative, is it actually because of the idea I've come up with, or is there something else lurking in the background?
Oh, yeah, I could talk all day on that subject. Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, you're 100% right, and I'll give a...
You don't need to rag on anyone. I'm just saying it's just in general.
Really quick example is the amount of people, because this can make a lot of money. This can, in a commercial sense.
Yep.
You look at the other people and other companies that do these tours.
Yep.
They charge sometimes some triple. They hire bikes, but the ones that don't, they charge over double what I charge, or we charge. And I've had guys, even ex-veterans, like no one's an ex-veteran. Veterans in general will come up to me and engage, and they'll be like, "Hey, let's do this and that," or but you can always sort of tell that there's an angle, or someone wants to get involved, and you just got to be cautious. Is probably what I'm trying to say with the advice you get or who you let in. Don't be overly cautious, but I'm sort of contradicting myself what I'm saying previously about getting advice, but you just got to be careful who you get it from.
Well, it's all the eggs in one basket sort of scenario.
Yeah.
Like get a second opinion or a third or fourth.
Yeah.
And your gut will generally tell you who's going to lift you up and who's going to put you down.
Well, it has, and I can't believe and I think it's probably at a couple of years since I've been out, I've sort of gained that, for lack of a better term, street smarts in the civil world, especially with business, you can sort of pick up I refer to them as snakes, or someone with an agenda. And doing this, it's amazing. I won't segue this into another conversation, but it's amazing the amount of people that try and slime their way in to make money. And especially, we've got our hearts and souls in this to support veteran businesses and our chosen charities.
Well, you've been getting, like, the meat comes from veteran businesses, and you've got your shirts have, you've been going through veteran businesses to make your shirts and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's multiple different ways of supporting them.
We like rough maths, we reckon about $300,000 in 5 years we've spent with veteran businesses, like your shirts, stuff like that. We try and do a round robin, so we sort of share the love, like go to different supporters, and our meat always comes from the same, because there's not many veteran meat butchers that we know of, but
and you didn't go through me last year for your shirts, you jerk.
No, we went for another veteran. I apologise, but it's
they do better jobs anyway.
We try to share the love, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, look, it can be tough too. Like it makes me a bit upset, but some struggle financially, and you want to help them out. So I mean, it's just one event. We don't, it's not something they can rely on. But I mean, some do. Like it's we spend 10, 15 grand for some of the services, and they're like, if we move to someone else just to share love, they're like, oh, what do we do?
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway.
It's great to see as well, like all your staff here are veterans, they're out here for 10 days, they've got a real purpose, they're getting all these riders and drivers through the desert. Like it's just nice to see that all coming together again for these events.
Yeah, and this is the best part of it, is seeing, I like the camaraderie, I like seeing people happy, out talking, and it's, men being men and talking. Oh, we have heaps of chicks, so I'm not being derogatory, but
that did sound very sexist.
The desert is a men's shed as well.
Well, it is, and like you see them talking, they're having beers, big grins, and they're all from all different walks of life.
Yeah. You got some overseas blokes here.
Yeah, we've got a Canadian, we've got an American, and we've had two British. One of them was a veteran as well, ex UK Army. So we've had a few international riders.
Yeah, that's been I didn't realise you had people coming from overseas. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's they book in and we sort it out. Yeah.
I think the readings every night about an Australian soldier that's passed away has been quite touching.
Yeah, it brings meaning to the event.
Has that been every year?
It has, yeah. Well, sorry, no, a lie. Since Hendo's come on, so Hendo, who interjected before, and he's a great guy. He's our ex-sergeant that
Published author.
Yeah, referring to the published author.
He'll talk about it when he's on.
He works at the Australian War Memorial, and he does them along with a number of the other staff every day, and they're just wonderful. So it brings meaning and purpose. Like 90% of all the paying attendees here are from a civilian background. So, and we're all veterans, and it helps them understand and why we're here, why we want to do this, and it's not just about us. Like there's a bigger meaning and purpose, and even the closing comments of at the end of the readings, they died for the Australia and our way of life. And I just love that patriotism. I think we lost it a bit. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. I
think it's unnecessary that he gives you a card afterwards with his book on it.
That's just Hendo, mate.
Yeah, he is a salesman.
The hard sell.
He sits there and makes you cry, and then he's like, "Here, use this to dry your tears." Like, mate, that's a business card. I can't do anything with that.
Yeah, no, he's fun. But yeah, look, ever since he came on, it's been great. And it's purely his idea, and we loved it, and we've taken it full bottle.
Cool.
The other thing I really like about tours, and this one is no different, that this is accessible to anyone. There's riders here of all abilities. There's people in, cars, sort of dual cabs and new four-wheel drives that are pretty standard. And they might not attempt this on their own, but that's where tourism really comes in. And, if you do it with something that's well organised, anybody can see something as amazing as the Simpson Desert.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's the other thing. Like, I don't purport to be a four-wheel drive expert or a motorbike, racing or riding expert, adventure rider, but I've done it and I enjoy it. So I just love seeing people have the same enjoyment as myself. And it's interesting because we live in this YouTube generation, which I love YouTube. I hooked on it. And then like for today, like this trip, for example, you've seen the gentleman driving the Ford Everest, stock standard Ford Everest, and they're crossing the Simpson. And I love seeing people's faces because I know the four-wheel drive sort of industry a little bit now through this, that, people are just freaking out, like going, look at this dickhead, like driving a Ford Everest
with highway
so
tires.
Low, highway tires across the Simpson. And they're saying this as we drive past them halfway through the Simpson.
Yeah.
Like,
it's already achieved. Like it's been done.
3 people in it. Like it's loaded up and,
yeah.
I mean, it's not overweight, but you know what I mean? Like
there's somebody eating a Delica out here.
Well, yeah, a legend, I heard. But that's another example. Like people think they can't do it based on perception or based on what they see on YouTube or what the so-called experts say. In some instances, they're right. Like you want to come.
Yeah,
out
we haven't finished yet.
Yeah, you don't want to come out in a Magna or something like that. But it's what I'm trying to say is that people will buy a stock standard. I will use four drives for example because it seems to be the hot ticker at the moment. But and then they're like, oh, we can't go to the Simpson. We haven't bought $15,000 worth of suspension upgrades, and we haven't got the whole 12-volt electrical system to support us. And mate, get an Esky and drive it out here as is. Like you don't need a winch.
I've got a standard dual cab just with all-terrain tyres, and I've been everywhere with my friends with lifts and massive tyres, and just
Correct, and you need if it runs like relatively well, you don't want to get stuck out here and pay the $5,000 to get recovered. But if it runs and it's safe, just come out and do it.
Just go to there's four-wheel drive places that will do it. Like I took the van to a place and I said, look, I'm going to the Simpson. Tell me what I need to fix. And they were like, mate, you need to fix a couple of seals here and there because sand will get into it, and then you'll be right. Yeah, but it's actually a lot more traffic out here than I thought there was too.
There's tons.
But obviously a sat phone, take the safety precautions that you need to, but it's not as scary as you think it is out here.
No, and you can attest to this now that you're a veteran of the Simpson.
The 20-hour drive out here is taxing.
the pub crawl on the way to the kickoff. Yes,
yeah.
That's probably more dangerous than doing this. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. But it's beautiful out here. This is ridiculous out here.
What have you seen coming here? Like just besides the flora.
Oh, you don't even have to come that far. Go to Flinders Ranges.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Crazy.
There's kangaroos, dingoes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 40 as well. Seeing a dingo, like, this is incredible.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
I'm
right.
Australian. I've never seen a dingo before.
We've seen a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We had an argument with an emu.
come around the camps, they're howling, and there's emus. We saw camels. Like,
Oh, yeah, we didn't see a camel today. I saw the tracks.
Oh, right.
The big thing for me as well is we couldn't really get any further from a city where we are now. And every day further we've travelled, you know, you relax and you chill out a bit more and more. We've met salt-of-the-earth publicans, people running all the businesses out here. Ironically, most of them are from Melbourne, which says something about Victoria.
Yeah, Victorians have left in droves.
But yeah, it's not that often that you just say g'day to someone, you know, down at Safeway or that anymore. But I'm trying to get used to the fact that everybody just stops and wants to talk to you here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wonderful part of the world. I wish I could live here, but I can't. Yeah, that's why we keep coming back, and we want to share this experience with everyone. And if we can't share it, like people can't afford to do it, we want to sort of push people to make the decision to come out themselves and to actually pull the trigger and plan to do it. Like, you know, like I've planned and pulled the trigger to run these events.
I think one thing we can take away from here is, like, after coming out and living in the Simpson for a week, just going away on the weekend and just doing it overnight on your own out in the middle of the bush. Like, there's plenty of places near your house that you can go and do this at.
Yep.
I mean, here's amazing. Having a whole week to do it is amazing. But coming out and not having, like, we haven't had reception for the last 3 or 4 days.
Been amazing.
I mean, sure, we can do a podcast out here, but that's because you need an inverter and stuff. You can't do everything out here if you don't have a proper setup. But it's been very impressive. And obviously, when you lose your ability to connect with the rest of the rest of the world with your phone and that sort of stuff, you start talking to the people around you.
Oh, it's amazing. I love not having the phone ringing or buzzing. It's great.
So if people want to come and experience a well-oiled cross of the Simpson Desert, how can they find Frontline Safari and get involved?
Well, Frontline Safari and all the socials, just search it. You'll see us. There's only one.
We've tagged them multiple times, so you should be able to see them.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that.
We're all about the influencers over here.
I love it. Yeah, or you could just go to our website, which is standard 3Ws, frontlinesafari.com.au.
Cool. Do you want to get your kids on? They'll want to have a chat. I'll pause it. Hang on.
There you go.
We've got little Charlie Marks. Do you want to say good day to everyone?
Hi.
What do you think of the desert?
Hey, good.
Yeah. What do you think about podcasts?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Do you like hearing yourself?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to ride a bike across the Simpson Desert one day?
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll probably be better than I will be.
I know.
Wow, burned.
That's what that one. Righto, Charlie, we're going to wrap it up, mate. Do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Bye-bye.
That'll do.
Just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Just do it. Simple.